Last Thursday, the UN Human Rights Council decided to establish a new commission of inquiry into the recent violence in the Palestinian territories. Israel protested against it, and some countries, including Germany, voted against it. The Israeli ambassador to the UN Geneva sent this video message to the Human Rights Council.
Hamas fire rockets indiscriminately targeting civilians to kill as many innocent people as possible. Israel takes all steps to adhere to the principle of distinction, proportionality, and necessity. We do so not only because of our obligation under the law of armed conflict, but also it is our moral duty to protect innocent lives.
Today we have a very sensitive issue, a conflict between Israel and Palestine. You hear all the time news from Gaza, Israel or the West Bank, and most of the time it's not good. Many ask themselves why the Middle East conflict has just now escalated again. Today a conversation with the Palestinian ambassador to the UN Geneva, Dr. Khraishi. Now here at EWTN UN blog. I would like to point out that, in all fairness, we also asked the Israeli ambassador for an interview. We would have asked the same questions that we asked the Palestinian ambassador. Unfortunately, however, we did not receive an answer from the Israeli ambassador. If you are interested in information from the Israeli embassy's point of view, we suggest you visit this website. I welcome now in Geneva the Palestinian ambassador, Dr. Khraishi. Your Excellency, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time for this interview at this critical time for your country.
Thank you for having me.
Now, not an easy question. From your point of view, what was the trigger for the recent intense outbreak of fighting between your country and Israel?
It's because of occupation. There is no need to ask about that. It's very clear for everyone. Suffering, oppression since 73 years and the occupation 54 years until now. And the Israelis are not willing even to stop their violations. And contrary, they are continuing violating international law and violating the rights of the Palestinian people by expanding settlements, by attacking the Palestinians, the prayers in the church, in the Al-Aqsa Mosque, evicting by force the families from their homes, attacking the civilians in Gaza, killing children, women, and attacking the buildings, the common and the personal properties, hospitals. Whatever you can imagine the Israelis are doing, they are violating everything. And the bad thing that some still saying that Israel have the right to defend itself. This is unacceptable. This is not a logic, because we are the people who need the protection. This is our right to defend ourselves according to the international law. We are living under the Israeli occupation, the colonial one. It's the apartheid system. Look what's happening now with the Palestinians inside Israel. From yesterday until now, there is more 1,600 Palestinians are arrested inside Israel, the citizens of Israel. So they are doing whatever with this arrogancy, with this unacceptable behavior, unlawful one. And there are some countries still supporting that and asking both sides to calm. Who is the one should calm? I think it's very clear that Israel is occupying power. They should to stop all of that and to stop their violations. And the main and the biggest violation is the occupation. If we end the occupation, I will think that we will find ourselves in different position.
Israeli police launched a wave of arrests against Palestinian citizens of Israel who turned out to demonstrate and were then arrested. One commentator wrote, "The massive arrest operation is a militarized war against Palestinian citizens of Israel." Your opinion on that?
I don't think so, because they can say whatever they do. What's happened, it was very clear, 10th of this month, when the demonstrations of Palestinians in Israel started supporting the Palestinians in East Jerusalem, in Al-Aqsa Mosque and Sheikh Jarrah district, the Israelis shot one demonstrator, civilian protester in Al-Lod town, and after that things started everywhere on all Palestinian communities inside Israel, only demonstrations without using any military. Now what we are doing here in Geneva, tomorrow we have a special session, we called for that as Palestine, and we are going to submit a resolution. The main issue of this resolution is to dispatch an international independent commission of inquiry to investigate all violations of international law, international human rights law, and international humanitarian law in occupied Palestine, East Jerusalem, and in Israel. Let the independent committee go and investigate and come back with their facts by meetings if the Israelis are going to allow. But we know from now that they will not allow them to enter and to see and to meet with the victims there. But they will collect the information through different ways, the UN bodies, the agencies, and some NGOs, Israeli, Palestinian, and international one. After that, we will see.
In December 2019, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, ICC, announced an investigation into war crimes allegedly committed in Palestine by Israeli personnel or members of Hamas and other Palestinian armed groups. Since Israel is not a member of the ICC, it disputes its jurisdiction on the grounds that Palestine is not a sovereign state capable of adhering to the Rome Statute. Mr. Ambassador, as of this month, this June, there will be a new chief prosecutor at the ICC, Mr. Karim Khan, by the way, the first Muslim to hold this position. Mr. Khan, through his investigations, has also helped to get the UN and now the US to recognize the genocide of the Yazidis. Do you think he will get anywhere with the war crimes investigations?
First of all, I don't think that there is any relation between his religion and his position. He should be an impartial expert and a judge as a prosecutor. If he is a Muslim, he is a British Muslim, never mind. But the issue here is not the religion. Here is the bylaws of the ICC and the crimes which is under the jurisdiction of the ICC, the crimes of war, crimes against the humanity. And I think the current prosecutor, she announced that they started already at the investigation. And I hope there is a lot of pressure, I know, political one. But if we want to do justice, they should leave the ICC do its job. And I think it will take a lot of time. We understand that. But without attacking the ICC as what we witnessed when the jurisdiction issued a decision that their jurisdiction can cover the state of Palestine. Some of the European countries, they call them the friends of the ICC, they issued statements that they don't agree with that. They agree the ICC everywhere, but when it comes to Palestine and Israel, there is different position. This is the double standard, which is strange, and I think that it's not the way if we want to leave to give the international law and the legal path and the international legal system to lead us. Otherwise, we are asking for having the jungle law, which will threatening the international security and peace. So we hope that they have to realize that, and we see that they are calling the ICC to investigate everywhere, and they are encouraging the ICC. So please leave the ICC to do their job without any interference, political interference from here and there. And I hope that one day perpetrators and criminals should face the justice from all sides, and those allegations should be investigated on a legal basis.
Mr. Ambassador, what do you think needs to happen to bring peace once and for all? What solution do you suggest, does Palestine suggest?
Very simple, as I mentioned at the beginning. We are the victims, let's say that without any hesitation. We are the victims of the European victims. We are facing the occupation. Suddenly we found the Jewish refugees in our place in Palestine, historical Palestine. And we received them in a very appropriate way at that time. And suddenly we found the international community taking a decision at the General Assembly 1947, dividing Palestine for two states. One is existing and the other one is still under the occupation of the existing one, Israel. So the way is to recognize the state of Palestine, not to asking the Palestinians to negotiate that with the Israelis, because when they recognized Israel, no one negotiated that with us. So it's unfair. And I think the main issue is ending the occupation. If we continue to try to find some medication for the consequences and the implications, it will not bring us to the end. The issue, the cause, is the occupation. I hope that the international community are ready and willing to take some concrete steps to end the Israeli occupation and to allow the Palestinians to practice their right to self-determination in the occupied Palestinian territory, with East Jerusalem is the capital, and we will find an agreed agreement for the issue of refugees. This is the international legitimacy. If they are willing to implement that now, which is very good for the Israelis, but if they don't want, the future is for us. We are not leaving Palestine. I am afraid that one day you will see the Israelis going back to their origin places. And I don't say more.
I ask myself, where will hatred and revenge lead? Said Pope Francis. Do we really believe that we can make peace by destroying the other? In the name of God, I call for calm and appeal to those who have the responsibility to stop the bombs, to commit the beginning of peace, also with the help of the international community. And the Pope added, let us pray that they find the path of dialogue and forgiveness.